whispers like a spell my doom. But I've got a soul that can't diagnose. I've walked through fire and I'm still close to everything I'm meant to be, not just what they see. I'm not my diagnosis, I'm not their doubt. I've got a voice and I'm gonna shout. I've got dreams that won't be tamed. I've got joy they can't explain. So don't you write my story yet. I'm more than limits and regret. I'm still rising year by year. I'm not my diagnosis, I'm still here. Some days hurt, some days shine, but I've made peace with this heart of mine. I've got cracks, but they let light in. That's where the strength begins. No shame in being real, that's how I heal. I'm not my diagnosis, I'm not their doubt. I've got a voice and I'm gonna shout. I've got dreams that won't be tamed. I've got joy they can't explain. So don't you write my story yet. I'm more than limits and regret. I'm still rising year by year. I'm not my diagnosis, I'm still here. Might walk a little slower, but my heart beats just as loud. Might fall and get back up again, but I wear that proud. 'Cause brave looks different on everyone, and I'm proud of who I've become. I'm not my diagnosis, I'm more than pain, more than letters next to my name. I've got fire, I've got grace, I've got hope you can't erase. So don't you tell me who I am, I'm writing that with my own hand. I'm still singing loud and clear. I'm not my diagnosis, I'm still here. Yeah, I'm still here. And I'm not my diagnosis.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Person Behind the Pen. Except this is a very special episode. We are here with the official kickoff of the Meet the Co-Authors of Volume 2, We Choose to Be More Than Our Diagnoses. When this book launched last year in July, it was a dream come true for me. Although I did not start my anthology writing and calling there, as I had started with Legacy, this is the book that means honestly the most to me. And if you know anything about my story, you know that I am diagnosed bipolar 2, and hence the reason why this book holds so much meaning for me. I truly know, not even believe, no. Without being who I am, without my bipolar disorder as part of who I am, embracing it and learning to lean into the strengths of it, I would not be here today. I would not be the owner of Guiding Brilliant Writers Publishing. I would not be here helping others to share their story, to heal further, empower others, and encourage others to use their voice and to speak their story. I am excited to be joined by Leslie Flowers, Joe Cullen, and Jacob Farkash. I will bring them all up together shortly and introduce you to all of them. I would like to take a moment to acknowledge all of our guests in the audience. It is so wonderful to see you, Omar. Thank you so much for being here. Jackie Halberg, probably, I want to say, the number one Guiding Brilliant Writers fan, and I do not say that lightly. Jackie continuously shares about the publishing company. Not only has purchased quite a bit of the gear, but is often seen in posts with it as well. And I am grateful to say she has sent quite a number of referrals over to the company. Jackie, I want to give you a very special shout out and thank you deeply for that. And if you've not checked out her show, Just Jacks, on a Monday night at 9 p.m., please go over and check that out. Want to say hi to, uh, oh, I'm so sorry. I want to say hi to my good friend Leah Garcia. She is also my financial advisor. Leah, it's so wonderful to have you here, and thank you so much. LinkedIn user, I apologize. I'm not sure exactly who you are, but welcome. And Meryl Cass, my neighbor over there in Jersey. Hi, how are you? Coach Carrie, lovely to see you here as well. And there's Jackie again. All right, so we're going to jump in and I'm going to start bringing everyone up and I will acknowledge everyone else as the show goes along. So, with that, please allow me to bring to the stage Leslie Flowers, Joe Cullen, and Jacob Farkash. Hello, my friends, and how are you this evening? Everyone's
Good.
well? Good. I am
Double
so,
thumbs ups.
I'll do doubles. I am so happy to have you guys here. And wow, it's been a bit of a journey. This project kicked off at the beginning of this year, and we are now in the final stages and getting ready to release for publication in just a couple of short weeks. We are looking at releasing on June 9th. There was a little bit of a delay, but all good things take time. And when I think of how much time and energy that all of you have put into this, not just for yourselves, but what you have poured into your co authors as well, it inspires me to continue doing what I do. These relationships are not just built between myself and the individual co author, the co authors themselves develop relationships beyond the project and they meet with each other and continue to collaborate beyond this. And it is such a thrill to sit behind scenes and see everything that's happening. So I'm going to start with Leslie this afternoon, and I'm going to start by just sharing with each of you how I met each of them. And then I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves. I could just read the bio, but if you know some of these people, then you know quite a bit about them already. I think it is more important, especially in the age of AI, in the age of constituting and developing level more. It's not as I think she's built this connection. She's my dearest friend, and I've known her for a few years. I've worked much with her, and she is the VP of Insta Design Editor on my publishing more fun. And I let's just put it this way, you're not a pair that necessarily very all right. So with that, please can you hear me?
We could try to turn off our microphones, and that might help.
Is this better?
Yes.
Okay, so I did have my external microphone plugged in. Perhaps it wasn't plugged all the way in, or I just need to speak up. I could do both. All right, here we go. Nick Nev in control. All right, so I apologize. I'm more than happy to reintroduce you, but I'm pretty sure that Leslie needs no reintroduction. Leslie, please take a couple of minutes to go ahead and share who you are with everyone that's here today.
Okay. Well, thank you. I don't exactly remember how we met, so I'll have to go back and do a team replay and hope that I heard that. Okay.
But tell us about you. Tell us about Leslie.
Okay. So, oh gosh, I'm kind of a free spirit these days. I love being part of anthologies. To me, it's almost a hobby because this is my 14th book. They're not all anthologies, but that's not really my body of work. That's more about mind. And I've gotten to weave in some of the mind part into this story about we are not our diagnoses, which kind of came to me at the last minute. So my work is around the mind and learning how to manage and control what we think, how often we think it, and how we feel when we think it. And I've got 2 live shows, Monday and Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern, addressing that with a wonderful community of people that include many authors to keep ourselves positive. And so that's a little about me.
Thank you so much. And it actually includes many of the people in the audience here today. So you are familiar with Leslie. I appreciate you coming to support her and the other co-authors of We Choose to Be More Than Our Diagnosis. So let's go on to Joe. Joe. You know, the funny thing with my connection with Joe is, have you ever had those moments where you met someone and you could have sworn that you met them eons ago, or you could have sworn that you only met them 6 months ago? Well, the other day in DM, Joe kindly reminded me that we actually met a bit before than I thought we had. Boy, was that an interesting moment. Foot in mouth disease. Um, but ever so graciously, and the gentleman he is, he kindly reminded me. And I want to share that for a reason. Joe and I had been connected. Joe knew what I was doing, especially with volume 1 of Diagnoses. So much so that when I announced the co-author call for Diagnoses volume 2, Joe was the very first person to reach out to me to say, I want to be in this book. This, folks, when I checked it out, was since July last year when the first volume published. That is how long. When I say this is a movement, I'm not kidding. This is now volume 2. This will be a lifelong series. And when somebody can carry this for 9 months near on and choose to say, I want to put my story in there, that speaks volumes for the need for people to hear and the need for people to tell. Joe, please take a couple of minutes to introduce yourself to everyone and welcome.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it, I saw the first volume come together, and I was, in the middle of writing the Built for Rebuilding book at that time, and that book is about rebuilding life, after collapse, and my story kind of is what drove that book, overall. And part of that story was being diagnosed with bipolar disorder and having the understanding of being able to look back and see the impact on my life all the way from the time I was a teenager until I was in my 50s diagnosed. And so I wanted to be able to share that piece of the story because, I, from the outside, had a very successful life, and people would see that, but they didn't see all the struggles that went with the bipolar. So, but I'm just excited to be a part of this this chapter of this legacy, and hopefully as we go along it will inspire others.
It absolutely will. And I do thank you for that because there's something unique to your story in the sense that I've not yet come across someone who was diagnosed with the same diagnosis I was later in life. So you actually almost wrote the story in reverse, if you will, because you were not diagnosed until your 50s. I'm about to turn 50 shortly. I cannot imagine getting to this point in my life and not really understanding so much of what was going on in my head and that, again,
Oh,
affected
it's,
my life. So I
yeah,
truly
it's
appreciate
what it did to the impact on my family and on my career and the trajectory of businesses, and it was a ride. We'll just say that.
It's
And,
quite an eye opener, this chapter. So I do appreciate you. Thank you so much, Joe. Jacob, young man. Okay, so I have to share how I met this young man. Are you ready? These are the kind of things that I live for when I share about how Joe and I connected. Jacob was a guest on the book launch of A Letter to My Family. No, a letter, sorry, a letter. My goodness, it's the third annual now. A letter to my family at the end of last year. And we were doing the book launch party with the authors, and Jacob won the chapter in 2026, the fourth annual Legacy Chronicles. Every time I do a book launch, I give away one chapter in the next anthology. Well, when I decided to do the course, called for We Choose to Be More Than Our Diagnoses, learning more about Jacob as time went by, I felt that this might have been more suitable for him, and he agreed. And I am so grateful that he did. It has been such a pleasure to get to know this young man. I'm going to let him introduce himself because, quite frankly, I could not even begin to scratch the surface of introducing him. Jacob, please share with us about who you are.
All right, let me take it away by saying my name is Jacob Farkash, a teenager who's living with autism. When I first moved to another state, I was originally diagnosed as developmentally delayed for most of my life, and I had trouble talking at a very young age, and I couldn't get the words out. So I had to go to special schools, get lots of therapy and speech therapies to help me start talking and learn how to communicate with others. Then, when I moved to a new state, I needed another diagnosis other than developmentally delayed. So that's when I got diagnosed with autism. I was in a doctor's office thinking they were just playing games with me, but it was actually a huge test, and little did I know that I would then be diagnosed with autism. And it was like we put together a huge puzzle figuring out what was going on, why I was acting differently than other kids, why I needed certain things that others didn't need, and what was going on with my life in general. So I have now written 4 self-published books. One of them is The Missing Voice, which is a memoir about how I had trouble talking at a young age and was able to get lots of help to find my voice and my way. I have 2 other books known as The Adventures of Even, Steven, and Dr. Oddman Out, The Evens versus the Odds. It's about these 2 twin brothers who use math superpowers for children. And then I just published my 4th book, which is a chapter book memoir known as Don't Give Up with Jacob, which is the same name as my podcast, Don't Give Up with Jacob.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, young man, so much already under your belt, and you are about to be published again. Well, I have to tell you, what the doctor said may have been the diagnosis. It certainly was not the prognosis, because here you are speaking with us loud and clear. So thank you so much for taking a moment to introduce yourself to everyone.
Oh, you bet. This has been an honor.
Oh, thank you. So we're going to just take a quick couple minutes. I just want to say hi to a few more people that have joined, because some of them are, in fact, co-authors themselves. And I want to welcome Leigh Scheidel. She is also going to be a co-author in the book. And she was also diagnosed a bit later in life. And she's going to be sharing that with us. Felipe Cofino, thank you so much for being here with us. Liana, it's always great to see you around the circuit. Lisa Favak, Trini in the house. I don't know what the weather's like there, but for once, I can't complain. It's really gorgeous in New York. And Stephen Ang, it is so lovely to see you. This is my neighbor, not too far away. We totally have to catch up. David Pushkin, it's so nice to see you here as well. All right, so we're going to dive right back in. And I want to start by going around robin. We're going to ask a few questions so we can get a better handle on some of the reasons that people choose to write in a book like this, and what were the specific reasons, and perhaps a touch of the message of what these stories are going to relay. So please, if you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the comments. We are always here open to questions. Leslie, let's start with you. So, what part of your story in We Choose to Be More Than Our Diagnoses was maybe the hardest to put into words? And why did you choose to share it anyway? You're on mute.
So, really, the hardest part of the story for me was not including something I wanted to include. Because my story is, I haven't been diagnosed with any neurodivergent thing. Now, I bet you if I went, they could find plenty, because I believe learning so much about people who have neurodivergent diagnoses is that I feel a lot of times that I have the same kind of responses and reactions. And I have found that I love dealing with neurodivergent people because I shoot straight from the hip. And right, and so that is how I've learned to speak with people that have any of these diagnoses. But I wanted to blame my diagnosis, which I write about, that hasn't been diagnosed. It's the diagnosis before the real diagnosis. I wanted to blame it on someone else. And I will tell you that this story includes a lot of my work around the mind and things that I figured out about myself. And a lot of it really had to do with you, Nicole, because when we discussed what the chapter would be about, because I don't have a diagnosis, I decided that I would make it about self-diagnosis, right? So Nicole, when I wanted to blame what happened on someone else, she said, no, Leslie, that's not what this is about. It's no one's fault. And she reminded me that we are responsible for our responses, and what other people do really has nothing to do with it. So the hardest part was giving up that it would have been easy to blame someone else and really finding the meat and the value in what it's like to self-diagnose things. And I'll leave it there.
Very well said. Because when you say we choose to be more than our diagnoses, a lot of people would say to me when this author's call goes out, is this only bipolar? Is this only mental illness? No, it's every kind of diagnosis. It doesn't matter if it's physical, medical, mental. Leslie had an incident, and she was, in fact, diagnosed at the doctor's, and it was treated. She continues to live slightly with the traces of it, perhaps not as heavily challenged daily as some of us are by it. But like she said, it was an assumption of blame, and it had to move beyond that self diagnosis in order for it to actually be realized. And there's a lot to be learned in something like this as well, because there are many times people are out there, and because of the fear of stigmatization, because of the not lack of knowledge, the, the poor delivery of education to people, it leaves people almost not wanting to know more, not wanting to try to see if there is a way for them to not feel as challenged in some of the things that they have to perform every single day, which can be very debilitating. So, Leslie, I really appreciate you offering that. So, Joe, I was going to ask you the same question, but I do think I am going to ask you a different question because,
Okay.
as always, you plan an hour and somehow it goes a little bit differently. So, again, just a quick moment, and I do want to say hi to Tanya Boggs. Tanya is a fellow outlier. If you've not heard of the Outlier Project, please reach out. And she is also a co author. And I would love to add that Tanya, Jacob, and Joe are all first time writers with Guiding Brilliant Writers Publishing. And I feel that it is important to add that with 75% of the writers coming to work with us are new writers. And that means that the word is reaching the people that have the stories to share. And I always say, no people, no stories, no stories, no books. It always comes back to the people sitting here on stage with me. Alrighty, so Joe, oh my goodness, do you feel like this is trivia? No, 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 no. All right, let's go. How did writing your chapter change the way you see your diagnosis or yourself beyond it?
How did writing the chapter change the way I see the diagnosis or myself? Well, it's actually a tough question in that I don't necessarily know that it changed how I saw the diagnosis. Um, because, fortunately, sit in a therapist chair once a week and have been doing that for several years and have had the opportunity to work through a lot of the understanding of the challenges of what it's meant throughout my life in those things. But what it has done, and it's been more the combination of working with all of the co-authors, especially people like Jacob, and hearing his story, and just getting the opportunity to um, hear others share how they've been able to progress and achieve and move forward. And I look at myself there, and you know I there's some things in my chapter that will probably surprise some people when they read it. So but to be able to move through it, and now you know I've finished and published my seventh book. The Built for Rebuilding book was number seven. I have my first book signing this Saturday at Barnes and Noble in Mooresville, North Carolina. If anybody's in the area, um, but
Oh,
so,
congratulations. I do need to move to North Carolina. I just know way too many people there. I'm just saying.
but it yes, so that that's been good, and we're I've got I'm rebuilding my fifth company right now as well. I have a new community coming out around the book and some different things, and so life has kind of turned back around where I thought 3 years ago I was pretty much done. 5 years ago I was at probably one of the lowest points I've ever been in my life. So ultimately this book has helped push me to do even more and realize that I have the ability to be more and to
Oh,
do more.
yes.
So,
I really hope that, I know your story. I had you on my show. I have your book. I started reading about the pillars of rebuilding, and I loved the title of your chapter, The Bipolar Builder Rebuilt. And, we think we build once. We really do not. Many times we are doing altercations, we are adding on dormers, we're knocking down pieces, and, the finished uh, structure is not ever there until really we are no longer here. And that is our legacy. So I truly appreciate that you can share in writing this, a period of reflection and recognition of what you have been able to achieve since learning of the diagnosis. I think that that is absolutely incredible. So I appreciate you. Thank you so much for that, Joe.
I
Thank
got
you.
to give a shout out to Jackie. The book launched on her show. It was
Yes,
released
it
on
did.
her
Yes,
show.
it did. Oh
So,
my goodness.
so
And
thank you, Jackie.
we will be revisiting Jackie as well because we shall all be throwing ourselves on a show. And I do believe Jacob would be there soon. Jacob, young man, thank you so much for being so patient. I love the blue on you. It looks great. So I got a question for you.
Yes.
As we are approaching the launch coming June 9th, in just a couple of weeks, what do you hope readers would take away, not just from your story, but from the entire movement of what it is we are doing here with this book? Because once we have published, we would now have shared almost 30 stories between the two volumes of people navigating life with many different types of diagnoses at different levels, in different cultures, different countries, different familial, situations. So, what would you like readers to take away, not just from your story, but from this movement altogether?
All right. So, what I really want people to understand and take away is that even if you have something like autism, ADHD, cerebral palsy, or any type of different kind of ability, just remember it's not a disability or an illness. It's just a different kind of ability because I see autism as my superpower, and I bet many other people with different kinds of abilities have like ADHD, cerebral palsy, or any type of something like that as their own superpower. So if you meet some person with a diagnosis, just remember that you shouldn't be mean about it. Don't call it an illness or disability. Just describe it as a different kind of ability because we are all different in this world and nobody is living alone with this diagnosis because there are numerous other people on the spectrum with you. So just remember that you are never alone when it comes to diagnoses. And that's what this book is trying to tell everyone who is going to read it in a couple of weeks. And I'm glad that's what it's trying to tell everyone and spread this awesome message for everyone to hear and to understand.
Do you see
Wow.
why, Nick, that I was excited to hear Jacob's story and be around him? He's got so much energy. It's
I
so
know
fun.
his energy is very contagious. And, when you consider where he started and what his life could have been like, that is not the choice that he made. And I have to give kudos to his parents, Ryan and Ariel, because and I will share this. The people that you look at on stage now, and this talks to you about the diversity of the people writing in this book, not just the diversity of the diagnoses themselves. But Jacob is a teenager. Leslie would tell you she's in her winter years. And Joe and I fall somewhere in between there, probably a little closer to the winter years. But the whole point is, you know, this is not discriminate. And this hour that you spent with us or so here, you see a part of us. And if you never see us again, you may take away something small, and perhaps you would hit a snag somewhere or meet someone somewhere that perhaps had bipolar or autism, or I won't mention what Leslie suffered because you'll read it. Um, and you might just be able to give grace in a way you may not have been able to prior to seeing this because you heard something stayed with you, or you yourself may end up diagnosed with something And this would help give you a handle on how it is that you can not just survive but thrive. So, Jacob, I thank you very much for that, young man. I do want to
Oh,
say
you bet. Anytime.
I do want to say hi to William Rochelle, who did just pop in. And I want to give a very special shout out to this young woman. Her name is Crystal Chilcott. Crystal is one of the co authors in Volume 1, of which used to be More Than Our Diagnoses. She also reached out after writing with the company twice in other anthologies to write in this third one. If you scan that QR code right there next to me, not the green one, if you want to work with me, feel free. But the other one, you can purchase a copy of Volume 1 and you can start reading that before Volume 2 launches. Crystal shares about her type 1 diabetes, and type 2 is the more common. Type 1, a little more rare, actually is out there, not one often spoken about. So I would encourage you to read Crystal's story. She is not only a pageant contestant for Miss Colorado, but she's also a figure skater internationally. So diagnoses are not limitations if you understand the symptoms and perhaps even the consequences of not learning of and addressing what can be addressed. So thank you so much, Crystal. I do really appreciate you being here. All right, so I would love for anybody in the comments to share if you yourself have been diagnosed with something. And probably what is the most challenging part of your day-to-day living with it. In the meantime, I am going to take a moment and I am going to throw up the song, and I would let you know it's a few minutes. However, everyone was not here in the beginning. This song is the theme song for this series. It has come to mean so much to me. It was written and produced by Crystal B, who was also a co-author in Volume 1. And the outstanding video was created by my big brother, Aaron Gibson, Soul Media Productions. So if you're looking for somebody to help with song lyrics, if you're looking for somebody to help with your videos, yes, I am pitching my big brother. He is phenomenal at what he does, and he has always stood by Guiding Brilliant Writers Publishing and myself. So with that, please enjoy the video, and I want to see those comments. Please let me know if you are diagnosed with something. What are you facing now, day to day, as your biggest challenge? And what would you like to maybe ask one of our writers here on stage about any advice on how you can face that challenge?
Gave it a name in a cold white room, spoken whispers like a spell my doom. But I've got a soul that can't diagnose. I've walked through fire and I'm still close to everything I'm meant to be, not just what they see. I'm not my diagnosis, I'm not their doubt. I've got a voice and I'm gonna shout. I've got dreams that won't be tamed. I've got joy they can't explain. So don't you write my story yet. I'm more than limits and regret. I'm still rising year by year. I'm not my diagnosis, I'm still here. Some days hurt, some days shine, but I've made peace with this heart of mine. I've got cracks, but they let light in. That's where the strength begins. No shame in being real, that's how I heal. I'm not my diagnosis, I'm not their doubt. I've got a voice and I'm gonna shout. I've got dreams that won't be tamed. I've got joy they can't explain. So don't you write my story yet. I'm more than limits and regret. I'm still rising year by year. I'm not my diagnosis, I'm still here. Might walk a little slower, but my heart beats just as loud. Might fall and get back up again, but I wear that proud. 'Cause brave and I'm proud of who I've become. I'm not my diagnosis, I'm more than pain, more than letters next to my name. I've got fire, I've got grace, I've got hope you can't erase. So don't you tell me who I am, I'm writing that with my own hand. I'm still singing loud and clear, I'm not my diagnosis. I'm still here. Yeah, I'm still here. And I'm not my diagnosis.
I think no matter how many times I hear that song and look at that video, I will never tire of it. I could sing all the words, and you know, you don't live with a diagnosis and even be able to manage it to the extent that um, you can live a full life without ever dipping again. For me, it was just this past weekend, a 48-hour session of a come to Nick moment. Actually, come to Nick 2 days. What you face never really goes away, perhaps to different degrees at different times. The constant redirection and use of your building self-awareness helps with that. But what helps with that even more for me is the continued connection to the people around me and to the new people that come into my life. That constant shares of their journeys is a reminder that as human beings, we all travel a journey. And at some point, even ever so briefly, there is an intersection, even if it is just a moment of a shared emotion. So, with that, I'm going to start wrapping up and I'm going to start with Leslie. Leslie, tell me, what is like one win, great thing that you are celebrating this month, and what's coming up next for you? But you're a mute.
That wasn't one of the three questions.
No surprise.
Okay, so, well, this month is almost over. So, celebrating completing the line edit of a 75,000 word book by Dr. Steve Hudgens called The Mask, which will blow your mind, right? It's the second book I've line edited, and I work with Nicole on manuscripts. Got another one in the hopper. And I have 3 of my 4 grandchildren graduating. So lots of checks are being written, lots of dinners are being had. I mean, think about it, what the Nana does, right? The Nana picks up the tab, right? Joey Ray?
But those are some great wins. My goodness gracious.
Oh, they really are. And
Gotta
working
love
with,
nanas. Nanas are great.
yeah, and it's what the best part about it is that everybody else does all the work. You know, you spend your life cooking for everybody and all the holidays and everything. And I say, what would you like me to bring to this big party? Nothing, Nana. Just come on and enjoy yourself. That is what I'm celebrating this week.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much. And you know, that leads into the next question is which is what's coming for you, because with the launch of the mask on its way and Leslie about to begin the kickoff project for the 4th in the 5-book series, um, well, I can say that her future is somewhat spoken for here, Guiding Brilliant Writers. Leslie, thank you so much for sharing that.
Oh, and thank you for the opportunity to make a difference there.
Oh, you're welcome. Joe, before we jump on to you, we do have a question, and I'm actually going to put Joe on the spot and ask him to answer this one. And it's actually from Jackie. Did any of you, so did you, Joe, have anyone try to talk you out of sharing your story? Curious That's a very good question, Jackie.
It really is, it's funny because Stephen asked a question right after it. That's kind of it's funny that I was able to. I was like, hey, I can answer both of those. But yes, I had a very close friend um, ask me if I truly, especially when I shared the outline of my chapter with them, and he was kind of leery. He's like, you have for 10 years avoided the spotlight, so to speak. And he's like, now you're in, you know, 3,500 words sharing basically the world about, who you are. And he's like, you sure you want to do that? I don't know if that's necessarily where you want to be. And he was coming at it purely from a rebuilding a business standpoint, was really where he was driving at it from, because unfortunately there are a lot of shallow-minded people in our world. And but yes, Jackie, the easy answer is yes, and the complicated answer is people are, well, and so into Stephen, there's actually a little section in my chapter that answers that question as well. And so, I'm trying to remember. It's the advocate I didn't know I needed, I think, was
That
how
is
I
correct. That is
titled that
correct.
section. So, but yeah, so yes, there's Steve and I had the single greatest supporter that I've had next to my mom in my corner. So
Yeah, and you shared, and thanks so much for answering that. And a complicated yes. I think that is something that is going to stay with me because sometimes there can be such a thing. And I'm glad that you did decide for yourself, no matter what anyone shared with you, to.
well, it comes down, Nick, to are you going to live authentically?
Mm,
And for most of my life, the undiagnosed part of me, the the part of me that was always overachieving, over competing, always thought I had to be what other people wanted me to be.
yeah,
And as I've went through the last little bit of my life, that's not who I want or what I want anymore. And so if I'm going to live authentic, I'm going to share who I am, what I am, and how I want to live my life. And being in this book, as I told you day one when you announced it that I wanted to be here because I loved what you were doing, um, it was for that very reason, to be able to say, you, the title's great. You're more than your diagnosis, and you can be far more than your diagnosis.
that's right. We're a living proof of it right here on stage, and so many people in the audience as well that I know who's, oh, that's right. I am on mute. And thank you for sharing that. And, there are so many people in the audience as well who are struggling with something that I know of. And, it's good to know that in the last few years you discovered something that you needed to do. And regardless of what was told, you stayed true to that. So I applaud you for that because I do know that working with some of the new writers as well, especially in a professional sense, right? People who have had an established business for many, many years, it is a concern about how much you do want to share. Because there's always that worry at the back of your mind. You know people, but do you really know people, right?
Well,
Will somebody say, wow, everybody talks about guiding brilliant writers publishing, go work with Sneg? And then they start scrolling my feed and they say, oops, she's bipolar. I don't know if I want to work with her. Right? So Joe, greatly appreciated. I apologize. I'm not going to jump into the same question because we're, going on time. But I so appreciate you answering Jackie's question, and so does she. All right. So Jackie, thank you, and Stephen, thank you, and I really hope that Joe answered that um, for you guys. Jacob. So, what is one win, one happy moment, or something you're celebrating this month? Tell me.
Well, if there's at least one thing that I am celebrating this year is that I am almost finished with my sophomore year of high school. I finished school this week, and I also look forward to writing and illustrating more books since I love um, children's books, especially when I was younger. I was inspired by a lot of books like Pete the Cat books, Diary of a Wimpy Kid books,
Well, that's a good
and a
one.
bunch of Eric Carle books. And that inspired me to write my own stories for children, teens, and adults to enjoy because elementary school fiction is more of the direction I want to go as an author and illustrator with my books. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to finishing my sophomore year of high school and writing more books for children, teens, and adults because that's just who I am. And I want to spread my messages of joy and happiness and reminding everyone to never give up even on their hardest days.
Oh my goodness. First of all, absolutely congratulations on graduating. And you have a plan. I'm going to be 50 in a couple of weeks and I still don't know what I want to do when I grow up. Well, I'm doing something now, but I think there's other things I want to do as well. And, but it is so great. I'm so proud of you. Um, yeah, I think we're going to be friends for a very long time, young man. And so if you have not checked out Jacob's podcast, please reach out to him. Go check out his profile. He does a podcast. He brings some wonderful guests on, and he's going to actually have me on at some point. Yay! And some of his co-authors as well. So really looking forward to that. Joe, we have a few minutes, so I am going to jump back to you. I lied. Tell me, what is something you are celebrating this month?
Oh my gosh! And we talked about my first book signing, so that's huge. Had the birth of my fifth grandbaby, so that was huge this month. The so that was fun, and just hopefully we can get the community launched here. We're a little late, and that's been kind of on me. Had a medicine malfunction, and I ended up in a manic episode, and the depression after it, and blah 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 blah, and but yeah, we're excited about the book signing. 1 to 4, Barnes and Noble, Mooresville, North Carolina. If you if you want to go for a road trip, come on down. We'd love to have you here in the South.
Well, I'm really hoping that I hit there in September. I apologize, it won't be in time for the book launch. But
That's
yes,
okay.
you are celebrating something beautiful this month, and congratulations again. I do have a copy of the book, and that's a really nice shirt you have on. If you don't mind, would you stand up and show us that shirt? And Jacob, if you don't mind, would you stand up and show us that shirt as well?
There you go. Don't give up
Well,
with Jacob.
look at that. Look at that. We've got 3 pieces of gear up here, and Leslie would have hers if she had her shirt with guiding brilliant writers right now. Anyway, that being said, that's her logo behind her, and it is orange, and it does match her shirt. Yes, I pick up on all sorts of little nonsensical things. That's what a bipolar mind does. It's all over the place. So it has been an absolutely wonderful hour. I want to thank you all for being here. I want to thank you for the questions, the incredible outpouring of love to support. I want to thank Chief of Staff Nelly over there for not barking during this conversation. Thank you so much. You deserve a bone. Yes, I did just share that. Having her is a little trying at moments, and she certainly does bring out the bipolar miss in me. Yes, I did say that too. Anyway, have a wonderful night, everyone. We will be back next week with 3 more of the co-authors. And the following week, we will be launching, and you do not want to miss that. All the
Yay.
proceeds of the launch day royalties are shared among the writers in the book, not the publishing company. So your support is not only of their courage, their daily perseverance, and their desire to help others, but you also get to buy them a nice lunch. Just saying. All right, everyone. Have an
Thank you.
absolutely
Thank you, everyone.
wonderful.
All right. Thanks, y'all.
Bye.
Peace. Later.